And greetings. Now, it's currently 7:22 in the morning, and those who know me well will be saying, oh, he's just about to go to bed. And ordinarily, you'd be right. But for the last, I don't know, maybe a week or so, I'm actually going to bed about 9 o'clock at night because I'm exhausted. And then getting up at like 5:30 or 6 in the morning. Yeah, yeah. So anyway, I'm getting treatment for it. I wanted to let you know, sort of up to date on what's happening. Now, I'm in the garden at the moment. The sun is, coming through and it's quite warm already. And this is the sort of, I can't show you the whole back garden, but I've shown you photos of it. So, right. First up, I've been kind of offered a job at a burger place here called Aussie Burgers. And it is very much an Aussie burger. It's an amazing burger. It's even got beetroot in it and Wagyu beef and there's a patty and patty. And it's really good burgers. And I get on really well with the woman who runs it. She's Vietnamese, entrepreneur. She's got several of these different, restaurants around this part of Vietnam. And she said, look, come and work with me, and we'll sort out a work visa for you, which means I don't have to do the 90-day visa run all the time. And but nothing has materialised yet in terms of money or a contract or anything. Now I put a proposal in to her. And because we're going to do some language stuff as well, I'm going to be teaching English to Vietnamese. And so I put a proposal into her for, the language stuff and also the sort of meet and greet, because I'm European and it helps Europeans feel just that little bit more comfortable. There's someone at the front, saying, hey, come on in, these are the best burgers in Dalat and all that sort of stuff. And it seems to be working. I mean, I'm generating quite a bit of business per day. But none of it has turned into money yet. So we'll see. I mean, she's let me into her family. So I have lunch and dinner with the family. She makes me a breakfast, a very healthy breakfast, I have to say. But income? No, not yet. So maybe that's a conversation that we have soon. I tried raising it yesterday, but she's a talker. And she talked about lots and lots and lots of things, but nothing. I couldn't get a word in edgeways except to ask for something I'll tell you about in a sec. But what you're probably wondering is what's happened with my love life. Those who saw the last video will remember that I called it quits. I said, look, I can't be your friend, even though I promised you that, I wanted you in my life, even as a friend, and I would be happy with you in my life. I came to the realization that no, I couldn't do that. And I wear my heart on my sleeve, as many people know, and my heart's not built for watching her, kiss and hug someone else, or even just the thought of someone else. So I said, look, I'm terribly sorry, but I can't do this. I'm in a lot of pain, and I can't do it. So she apologized profusely for causing the pain, and I had to go back to her and say, look, you did nothing wrong. It was me. I said I could be a friend, and it turns out I can't. So I'm really sorry, but I'm going to have to, put your friendship aside for the sake of my heart. So about a week later, she said, look, can we get together, for a coffee? And I'm really sorry, she said, if that idea hurts you, I'm very sorry. So I said, no, let's meet up. And I was working under the assumption that it was going to be, one final meeting to bring closure and, thank for the friendship. And no. So she walked in and we were having a coffee and tea and doing everything that we used to do, laugh and enjoy each other's company. And, it's just wonderful again. And but we were skirting around the room. We were skirting around each other. We were skirting around the elephant in the room. And eventually she brought it up. And she said, "You hurt me." Now, this is an Asian woman brought up in an Asian culture that says men must never lose face. The women can lead, but they have to lead quietly and subtly, and without conflict. So for her to say, "You hurt me," was just like, wow, Asian women don't do that. So she must be really hurt. And it was because I accused her of going back onto the Vietnam Cupid dating site, probably the same night that she said to me, "I'm sorry, I don't feel the same way that you do." So we talked about that, and I said to her, look, people, what you've just done gives me hope for us, because people who are invested in a relationship, who want that relationship to succeed, they will bring conflict up, the elephant in the room up. If you didn't care about us, then you wouldn't have said anything. You would just said, "Thanks very much for the friendship, wave goodbye, get on your scooter and go." And she nodded. Yeah, that's how she felt. But, I'd hurt her by accusing her of going back onto Vietnam Cupid within hours. And then she did something completely unexpected. She pulled out a little gift bag with a couple of pairs of socks in it. Now, you may think, okay, but she did that because in the previous coffee that we enjoyed together, I'd casually mentioned, just in passing, maybe 5 seconds, that I could do with some new socks, some sports socks. Now, she obviously didn't pick up on the sports thing, but she did pick up on the socks, and she came out and little bag with two pairs of socks on it. Again, you don't do that if you're wanting to break up with someone and say goodbye. And then she, as we were getting close to the end of the coffee, and she needed to get home so she could get a good night's sleep and go to work early the next day, she pulled out of her purse bag thing a little keychain. I forgot to bring it with me. A little key fob with a tree. It's a little wooden thing, little wooden tree, tiny wooden tree of a tree that's grown only here in Dalat. Again, you don't do that if you're just, wrapping things up and waving goodbye. That's an investment. But, I didn't make a big fuss of it because I didn't want to, embarrass her. But that's just, mate. So next time we meet for coffee, I'm going to give her my old AirPods. I've got 2 sets of AirPods, and I'm going to give her the ones I had for quite a while. Again, I'm not going to make anything of it, but hopefully she'll see that is a gift of friendship, if not love. Also, I call her Hadorable because her name starts with an H, and a fellow expat up here called her Adorable. Now, they had a very brief relationship, and then she called quits on it because he was very unwell. But he called her Adorable, and I started calling her Hadorable, just, play on words. But it turns out that there is a word called Hadorable, and it is basically hot and huggable. It's an adorable woman who might be the kind who turns heads when she walks in, but then flashes a goofy grin or does something unexpectedly sweet that melts your heart. Think of someone like Emma Stone or Zendaya, poised and stylish, yet disarmingly down to earth and cheeky, hot and huggable. So, but totally appropriate for her. She is hot and huggable. Anyway, we had that coffee meeting, and she hopped on her scooter, and we had the biggest hug we've ever had. Now, as I said last time, Vietnamese women aren't tactile, so we had the biggest hug she'd ever had. before the coffee meeting, I'd mentioned this to some expats that I have a coffee with each morning, and they've all been here many, many years, and they've all married local women. And I explained this to them, and they all in unison said, "You're an idiot." Why? He said, because they can take many months, up to years, before they will feel comfortable in even holding your hand, let alone, a kiss or something like that. And so I thought, oh, bugger. So that's why I apologised in the coffee meeting, because, these expats have said, you're a bloody idiot. So we're back to dating. And well, yeah, we have a great time. We have a great time when it happens. So who knows? But anyway, so next thing, the traffic here. In the next video, I'll take some footage of the traffic here. Morning and evening rush hours, and you'll see how much madness is here. And so, there's no way I would ever get a scooter or a motorbike, not for here. Except I'm getting a motorbike for here. The woman at Aussie Burgers is letting me rent it for some phenomenally, like $40 a month. That's, yeah, I mean, it's good money for her, but $40 a month is not going to kill me. And yeah, I'm only going to be, riding at night or early in the morning, because I do not want to get, until I'm very comfortable again behind a bike, I don't want to, get caught up in and probably falling over on someone. So that's that. And a motorbike, it's going to cost around $100, less than $100 a month, versus a Grab car, which is costing me just a shade under $10,000, $10 a day. So I think motorbike is probably more economical for me for doing what I do. Plus, it gives me the freedom that if I want to go out into the country, which I haven't yet because I can't, I can't get a driver's license here. Because Australia is not a signatory to some convention. So, I got a international driver's license from the RAA a couple of days before I left. And it turns out that once it had been sold to me, the woman said, "Oh, Vietnam? Oh, no, we don't have, you don't have international driver's license recognition there. Australia doesn't. Other countries like Europe and America, oh, yeah, no worries. But not Australia." Anyway, so that's why I can't get a car license. And technically, I can't get a bike license as well. But that doesn't seem to stop the 100 million people on the roads in the morning and evening. So we'll see. Okay, that's a good wrap up for what's happening here. I am going to leave you with Davo. Yeah, with Davo. To be or not to be, that is the question. And those of you who watched my Create and Resonate vlog will hopefully remember that Shakespeare wrote To Be or Not to Be about 2 decades after it started floating around in the language. So, yeah, interesting. Okay, right, toodle pips.